Alrighty, so before I go into watch the first of the doubleheader that's going to be happening tonight between Austin versus LAFC, I'm going to quickly do the preview in terms of these 9 games that's going to be happening on Saturday in terms of match week number 27. And we start off with the matinee game between Minnesota United versus Houston Dynamo that will start at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific, but the actual kickoff is 2:50 p.m. local time. And when you have that kind of kickoff, you know this game is going to be on Twitter, and unfortunately, it is the case. Though I believe this is the first time that the Loons have actually been on Twitter, because I don't remember the last time. The Loons, of course, have been on Twitter, and I definitely remember the last time the Houston Dynamo has been on Twitter, as they've been on Twitter a lot throughout these last couple of years. Now, coming into this game, Minnesota has a 12-5-9 record, while the Dynamo has a 7-5-14 record. All-time meeting, it's a 7-4-5 lead that Minnesota has against the Houston Dynamo. In fact, they actually have been unbeaten against the Houston Dynamo at Allianz Field. But I feel like the key points coming into this game for the Loons, it's a potential trap game, because these next 2 games for the Loons is going to be huge. The next one against RSL, which is a team that's right behind them, and then they, of course, return home for their next home game, which is against FC Dallas, which is a team that is above them. So it's very easy to just kind of overlook this game and get ready for a big matchup against RSL in the middle of the week. And not to mention, this is also a trap game because of how big that victory last week against Austin is, and that we've seen before, where teams, when they come off of an emotional win, they could definitely have a letdown, and especially in an opponent that is the Houston Dynamo, where, you know, they're pretty much in see you next season mode, and that the only thing that they need to play for is probably pride, and also can they finally break the Allianz Field duck. They have not won a single game at Allianz Field. It's been a house of horror for them, and, you know, I don't think that they have good odds in terms of winning this one, because the Loons have been red hot right now, and let's hope that of course is the same case, because again, I think this is one of the rare times I can say Minnesota is actually coming into this game heavy favorites. And you know how this team does whenever they are heavy favorites, they don't do so well compared to when they are relishing the underdog role. Now, moving on to the next one, we got Charlotte FC versus Toronto FC. That will start at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, but the actual kickoff is 7:08 p.m. local time. Charlotte with a 10-2-15 record, while Toronto have an 8-6-13 record. All-time meeting, there's only been one prior meeting between both of these teams, and TFC absolutely destroyed Charlotte in that match. In fact, that was the Insigne Benedeschi game, where TFC put 4 past Charlotte in the first half and won 4-0 in that one. But overall, in terms of this game, I would say that if you look at most of these games that are a playoff 6-pointer, which we have a lot, this one is probably the most important playoff 6-pointer, and I would say that this is probably the desperation derby of this week, because it feels like it's a must-win game for both of these teams, with both of these teams kind of near the tail end in terms of this big mesh that we still have in terms of the playoff race in the Eastern Conference. Charlotte, of course, below the red line right now, but they're only 3 points behind. Well, TFC is also so below the red line, but they're 5 points behind. And again, for Charlotte, it's a must-win, because, you know, they have had a little bit struggle recently at Bank of America Stadium. They're not as potent as we've seen in the beginning of the season, and that you know, knowing the fact that this team does not do well on the road, home games is a must-win from now on. Like, they need to pick up maximum points from home, and then maybe get some road points if they want to have a shot of making the playoffs. But for TFC, their margin is even thinner. I mean, this is a team that is pretty much a must-win game for every single game. Like, if they want to make it to the playoffs, they have to win out most likely for the rest of the season, and also maybe have to hope in terms of other team dropping in points in their favorites, because 5 points below the red line, and not to mention, you know, the team that both of these teams are chasing, which is Columbus. They have 2 games in hand, or they play 2 more games than Columbus has had. Theoretically, the team that they really are chasing is Inter Miami, and I think they both play the same amount of game, but Miami, I believe, have a 7-point lead over Toronto and 5 points over Charlotte. So yeah, with that many points to make up and just so few games left in the season, both of these teams desperately need a win in this one, and we'll see who's going to do so. Speaking of Miami, they're going to be playing against the New York Red Bulls, and this, of course, is the first of 2 games that will be happening at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. By the way, the other game was the Charlotte versus TFC game, and just like that game, this one will start at 7:08 p.m. local time. Now, Miami have a 10-6-10 record, while the Red Bulls have an 11-8-8 record. The Red Bulls does lead the series, but only just 3-0-2 over Inter Miami. And the key points coming into this game certainly has to focus in terms of the home and road form for both of these teams. So far, the Red Bulls, we know that they've been very good on the road, but the home form has been a problem. In fact, it's been such a problem that they actually have the fewest home wins this season with 3 in total, while Inter Miami, they also have been having some problem on the road too. Only 2 away wins this season, so something's got to give in terms of seeing both of these teams not doing very well either at home or either on the road. Something's going to have to get, and we'll see whether or not if one of these teams, of course, will get a win. I mean, when you look at the all-time meeting, there still haven't been a draw out of this game, so I'm going to say that looking at the all-time meeting and based on that, most likely something's going to give, and someone is going to kind of break out the narrative that they've been in, which is that either they've been very poor at home and they finally get a win at home, or if a team does very, very poorly on the road but they get a massive road win. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of teams that's below the red line, they'll probably be rooting for the Red Bulls very hardly, because of the way that Inter Miami is a team that, even though they're in 6th position, there's a lot of team below them that are very close in range, and that they do have played some of the most game compared to Columbus, who, even though they're just above the red line right now, Columbus have played some of the fewest amount of games so far this season. So yeah, we'll see whether if Miami can get a massive 3 points to keep themselves above the red line against a Red Bulls team that they definitely want to fix their home form, and this is definitely an opportunity to do so. Speaking of Columbus, they of course will be playing this weekend in the Hell is Real Derby against FC Cincinnati. So this is the other big rivalry matchup besides the Cascadia Derby that we're going to see later tonight. But coming into this Hell is Real Derby, it's a 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific start, but the actual kickoff is 7:38 p.m. local time. This game is actually not going to be on national television, and I'm disappointed that this game is not on national television, because when you have like a Hell is Real Derby, especially how big this one is, it has to be on national television. So it's kind of disappointed when I found out it wasn't the case. Though when you look at the records, very similar. 8-10-8 is the record for FC Cincinnati, while for Columbus, 8-11-6 is their record. Columbus have a 5-3-2 record over FC Cincinnati in this Hell is Real Derby. But the key points coming into this game is that Cincinnati is only 1 point behind Columbus for the final playoff spot. But keep in mind, the Crew have 2 games in hand over FC Cincinnati, and for the Crew, they continue their unexpected good road form so far. Like, for a while, the Crew has always been a team that doesn't do very well on the road, but this season it's been the opposite. I mean, they've been a very good road team. They have been unbeaten in their last 6 games on the road, which is one of the longest unbeaten road streak that they had in many years, and they're going to try to continue to do so against an FC Cincinnati team that has had their struggles in terms of playing at home, and that you just feel like if they want to make it to the playoffs this season and stay in the thick of the race, they need to win this one, especially with the way that Columbus have games in hand over them. If they can win this one, they can potentially jump above the red line and move Columbus down below the red line, and maybe it could be a season changer, because anytime when you of course face against your biggest rival, not only you want to win, but you want to win, and it can definitely carry some momentum heading into the remaining of the season. And that, again, for Cincinnati, they can get a win in this one, it can maybe carry some momentum heading into future games. Now, moving on, in the next match, we got the Philadelphia Union versus the Colorado Rapids. Now, this game will start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, and also let me just lower the sound a little bit. I just realized that I might have put maximum sound in terms of volume, so if there was a loud noise in the first part of the review, I do apologize because of that. But this game will start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. I forgot to put the actual kickoff of this game, which will be starting at the same time as the Cincinnati versus Columbus game at 7:38 p.m. local time. The Union leading the East with a 14-9-4 record, while the Rapids 8-11-6. Now, in terms of the all-time meeting, it's kind of interesting that the Rapids does lead the all-time meeting 4-6-2 over the Union, but you got to keep in mind, it's been a while since both of these teams have played, and ever since that, the Union has been a better team whenever they face against the Colorado Rapids, and this is definitely one that could be the case, because coming into this game, key points in this one is that, can the Union close in the supporter shield race. Like they're right now 6 points behind LAFC for that spot. If LAFC does lose tonight against Austin FC, they have a big opportunity to close within 3 points of that supporter shield race. While for the Colorado Rapids, even though they're only 2 points behind the Galaxy, who is sitting in the last spot in the playoffs, the playoffs started today. That they have only won once so far this season on the road, and that last game against the Houston Dynamo at home, where they dropped 2 points in that one hurts. And that now that if they want to maybe make up for it, they have to go on the road playing against a Union, a team that has just been a red hot form lately, especially coming out of a 6-0 beatdown that they had against DC United, and knowing the fact that this is one of the toughest place, if not the toughest place this season to get road points, that is Subaru Park. I don't really give the Rapids a lot of chance in this one, but you never know. Crazy things has happened in MLS. I mean, I said last week that the Quakes had no chance against LAFC, and look what happened. The Rapids are hoping that they're going to get that same MLS after dark energy, or I would like to say that kind of energy of any teams can beat any team at any given point, and that they definitely need to try to use that magic if they want to get anything out of a Union team that they're trying to run away with the East, and also trying to chase down LAFC to get their second supporter shield in their franchise history. Now, moving on in the next match, we got the Chicago Fire versus Montreal. Now, this game will start at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, but the actual kickoff is 7:08 p.m. local time. The Fire with an 8-6-12 record, while Montreal has a 14-4-8 record. All-time meeting, Montreal have a 10-6-7 record over the Chicago Fire. And in terms of the key points coming into this one for the Fire, yeah, things have not gone well for this team, and things have started to kind of took a turn for its worse, just like what we saw in the beginning of the season, with them winning 1 out of their last 4, and now find themselves 5 points behind Columbus and below the red line right now. While for Montreal, things have definitely gone well for them. I mean, they have won 3 straight road games. This team has been very good on the road, and in general, these last couple of games, they have looked like a team in form, and that's got to be great news for Wilfried Nancy team. When you're in the stretch time, you want to get yourself hot so you can prepare for a deep playoff run, and this Montreal team can definitely do so, and they can also close in the Union for that top spot. So in case if the Union does lose against Colorado, they can close within 2 points of that top spot of the Eastern Conference right now. And that top spot is also kind of important to, well, it depends on how you look at it. Whether if you look at what a team could have a bye week and they don't have to face the adversity of the first round and go straight into the second round, then that might be a good thing. But if you also don't want that first seed, because we saw what happened last year with the first seed, and how that definitely did not end well for both teams that finished at the top of the standings, with both New England falling in the second round, and the same goes for the Colorado Rapids. And yeah, we'll see. Maybe Montreal will be just happy the fact that they can stay in second position, but yeah, we'll see if they can do so, especially facing against a Fire team that that they want to get some points, especially at home. I mean, home points is one of the things that they've been very good at this season, especially at Soldier Field, and that they're going to try to continue to do so. And I know in the last game they did lose their last home game, but let's face it, last game they were playing at SeatGeek Stadium. That doesn't count, even though I know that's the former home of the Chicago Fire. But that being said, I am now going to switch board and look at the last 3 games that's going to be happening in terms of the Saturday action. So moving on, in the next game is Sporting KC versus the San Jose Earthquakes, which will start at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, but the actual kickoff is 7:38 p.m. local time. SKC have a 7-5-15 record, which unfortunately is still the worst record right now in the Western Conference, despite the fact that they have started to turn things around in these last couple of games against a Quakes team that have a 6-9-11 record. And in terms of the all-time meeting, SKC have a 31-10-27 all-time record against the Quakes. But the key points coming into this game, and in general, I think out of all the games that's going to be happening this week, this is probably one that is the most irrelevant game, and a match that I don't think a lot of people will pay attention, because we know both of the teams are in see you next season mode. I mean, both of these fan base, or at least some fan base, might be super optimistic and still think that they have a shot in terms of making the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, I can say that that's probably not going to happen. I mean, I know Sporting KC have been in red hot form, and that I feel like they're more in red hot form because they want to play the spoiler role rather than they actually want to make a late playoff push to maybe somehow miraculously sneak into that 7th seed. And then of course the Quakes. I know they're trying to give me false hope again after that LAFC win. I know they're trying to do it. I'm not falling for it. I fall for it for so many years, and I keep saying many times before throughout this season, I'm not falling for it, and I feel like this could be a reality check because the Quakes have only won once against SKC in the last 12 match, and that Sporting KC, in terms of goal scoring, has been red hot. 3+ goals in the last 3 games. A lot of that has to do with the fact that they have that guy called William Agada. Turns out to be a decent player for this team, and hence that's why their goal scoring form has been just on fuego mode right now. And it feels like that could be the same thing in this game against the Quakes team. Now, like I said, Children's Mercy Park. You know how it says the blue hell in the supporters section at Children's Mercy Park? Yeah, it's the blue hell for the Quakes. It is literally a house of horror for this team. This team have never done well against Sporting KC, but on the road. Besides that one time when they somehow randomly beat them 5-0, and that I think that was all the way back in maybe 2015 or 16. I mean, it was so long ago. It was such a surprising result. But I don't see that going to be happening in this one. I think Sporting KC should get the victory and probably crush any last hope that the Quakes had in terms of making the playoffs this season. But that being said, moving on in the next match, we got FC Dallas versus RSL, and this is the beginning of what I like to say the round robin matchup between the team that is 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the Western Conference. Because for whatever reason, when you look at these next couple of match week, FC Dallas is going to not only be playing against RSL, but they're also going to be playing against Minnesota. And likewise for RSL, not only they're going to be playing against FC Dallas, but they're also going to be playing against Minnesota in the middle of the week. And it's good to have these kind of round robin matchup between all 3 of those positions, because those 3 positions is very important with the way that if you can get the 4th and 3rd seed, you're guaranteed to at least host one home playoff game in the playoffs this season. Now, Dallas coming into this game with an 11-9-8 record, while RSL have a 10-8-8 record. And this game will start at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, but the actual kickoff is 8:08 p.m. local time. And also, Dallas are coming off of a week where they definitely fall down from Cloud 9, and that they got a huge reality check in that game against Nashville where they just got completely blown apart. Where RSL, coming off of a very disappointing result at home where they were leading 1-0 late in the game, and then they drop points because they give up a goal in the 86th minute. Now, in terms of the all-time meeting, Dallas actually has the upper edge, 22-11-14 over RSL, and as I mentioned, both of these teams are separated by just 4 points. But RSL have 2 games in hand over FC Dallas and are only 3 points behind 4th place Minnesota, and I believe also 4 points behind Dallas. So if RSL can win this one against Dallas, then yeah, they can be close within 1 point, and they can actually overtake, or actually they'll be tied with Minnesota in terms of that 4th spot, because I think if I look at here, the Loons have 12 wins, so yeah, they would have had the tiebreaker over RSL in terms of the 4th spot, but it definitely does give more pressure in terms of the team at 3rd place. And speaking of the Loons, as a Loons fan, I would hope that this, of course, end in a draw, because anytime when you have 2 of these teams face off against each other that is within the range, your best hope is that it ends in a draw, so that both teams will drop points, and that maybe the Loons might have a chance in terms of overtaking Dallas for that 3rd spot if they, of course, can get a win against Houston. But that both of these teams do not want to draw. Both of these teams want to get a win, especially for Dallas, knowing the fact that RSL can actually leapfrog Dallas if they do win those games in hand, and we'll see whether that is the case. Now, moving on in the next match, we got Vancouver versus Nashville SC, and this is also another playoff 6-pointer in a game that you could argue between this and the Toronto versus Charlotte game. This is the desperation derby, because coming into this one, Nashville with an even 9 wins, 9 draw, and 9 loss record, while Vancouver have a 9-7-11 record, as this game will start at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, but the actual kickoff is 7:08 p.m. local time. There's only one prior meeting between both of these teams, and both of these teams, of course, are separated by just 2 points. The Whitecaps currently tied with the Galaxy in 7th position, but they're currently outside the playoff line because of the tiebreaker that they do not have over the Galaxy. Well, for Nashville SC, even though they're currently sitting in 6th place, and they got a huge 3 points and against Dallas at home, and that it pushed them above the red line. They're only points above the red line, and they also have teams below them that I think have games in hand over them, so they're not secure in terms of that sixth position. And especially, if the Whitecaps can get a win in this one, and Nashville doesn't get a result, Vancouver can definitely leapfrog Nashville for that spot, and Nashville can find themselves below the red line once again. So yeah, this is a big game for both of these teams, and it's also kind of interesting to see that this is also another game where something maybe has to give, because we know Nashville has been very good this season on the road, but Vancouver also has been very good at home this season too. So something's going to have to give. Somebody's maybe going to get a crucial 3 points that can really be a difference in terms of who is going to make it to the playoffs before the end of the season. By the way, this playoff race is just very interesting, and that I think it's definitely going to come down to the wire. And that decision day this year, I mean, if you thought last year decision day was crazy, I'll wait till this year. I mean, I think this year it's going to be even more crazier than what we saw last season if we continue to see the standings being how tight it is in both conferences, especially the playoff race. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the preview of these 9 games that's going to happen tomorrow. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these 9 games, and also let me know in the comments your prediction for all 9 of these games that's going to be happening on Saturday. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.